Né à Baie-Comeau, Brian Mulroney a obtenu son baccalauréat en sciences politiques de l'Université Saint Francis Xavier et son baccalauréat en droit de l'Université Laval. En tant qu'avocat, il s'est spécialisé dans le droit du travail. Ses superbes compétences de conciliation et de négociation lui ont permis de rassembler les adversaires les plus polarisés et il était connu pour avoir mis fin aux grèves les plus difficiles. A member of the Progressive Conservative Party since his undergraduate days, in 1976, Brian Mulroney ran for leadership of the party, but in that first instance was unsuccessful. Yet he then led the Iron Ore Company of Canada for many years before returning to politics and winning the party leadership in 1983. The next year, on September 17, 1984, Brian Mulroney led the Progressive Conservative Party to the largest parliamentary victory in Canadian history, becoming Canada's 18th Prime Minister, and served as such until June 25, 1993. En tant que Premier ministre, il était un des leaders les plus influents de son époque. Il a joué un rôle important dans les grandes réformes économiques telles que l'accord de libre-échange entre le Canada et les États-Unis, qui, lorsqu'il a été étendu au Mexique, est devenu la loi de libre-échange nord-américain et a établi les bases d'une nouvelle ère du commerce mondial. Brian Mulroney's international vision extended beyond economics to include a deep commitment to promoting democracy and human rights around the world. During his time as Prime Minister, he served as co-chairman of the United Nations World Summit for Children. His government played a leading role in the efforts to end apartheid in South Africa and in the creation of the Sommet de la Francophonie. Through the Acid Rain Accord of 1991, the Environmental Protection Act of 1988, and the creation of 8 new national parks, he established strong measures to protect not only Canada's, but the world's environment. Brian Mulroney est également connu pour son engagement envers les nombreuses causes communautaires et philanthropiques. Il siège à de nombreux conseils au niveau local, national et international. A companion of the Order of Canada, grand officier de l'Ordre national du Québec, recipient of the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal, Brian Mulroney is an exemplary Canadian, Quebecer, and Montrealer, whose contributions in the political sphere defined Canada as a global leader, and whose commitment to public service has extended throughout his long and distinguished career. Mr. Chancellor, I present to you the Right Honourable Brian Mulroney, that you may confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
It is now my pleasure to call upon McGill's newest graduate, the Right Honourable Brian Mulroney, to deliver the convocation address. Brian.
Thank you. The Chancellor, my old friend Michael Meehan, said to me earlier today, Brian, you got 5 minutes. I said, Michael, it takes me 5 minutes to say hello. He said, you got 5 minutes. So I'll try to follow that. Chancellor Meehan, Principal and Vice Chancellor Fortier, Kip Cobbett, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Dean Mayoni, proud parents and guests, members of the graduating class of 2017. C'est un immense honneur pour moi de recevoir aujourd'hui ce doctorat de l'Université McGill. McGill, comme vous le savez tous, est une très grande université de renommée mondiale. Et c'est avec beaucoup de fierté et de joie que j'accepte aujourd'hui ce doctorat honorifique. When I was young in Baie-Comeau, I had a conversation with my father late on a Sunday night when he returned from the paper mill where he worked as an electrician. He also held down a second job on his days and evenings off, wiring homes and repairing oil burners. While he did that, my mother, apart from raising 6 young kids in a tiny mill house, took in boarders to make ends meet. Times were not easy, and I told my father that night of the new apprenticeship program being launched at the mill, where children of employees could train as tradesmen, plumbers, mechanics, electricians, and the like, while being paid a good wage, and then have guaranteed future employment with the company on the North Shore. My father's reply is engraved in my memory. I know, Brian, he said, that times are tough and we could sure use that extra money you would bring in. But I've learned one thing. The only way out of a paper mill town is through a university door, and you are going to university. My story is not unique. It's happened many times over, no doubt to many of you here today. When I graduated, our convocation speaker that day reminded us that a good education was not principally to provide us with a standard of living, but rather with a standard of life. When I left college with my friends that day to head to the big city with the bright lights to conquer the world, or so we all hoped, I had no money, no connections, and no influence. But I had 2 things of far greater worth that you all have today as well: a college degree and the values that have been inculcated into us by a superb faculty and university leaders, none better in this universe than those here at McGill. And so it is today with you. In the Bible, the prophet says in the Old Testament that young men have visions and old men dream dreams. Well, I can remember those days of my youth. I can remember being as happy and curious and excited and ambitious as you are today. And over the years, the many years now, I can remember the accomplishments and the setbacks. I can recall the splendor of the view from the highest mountaintops and the sorrow one feels in the valley of defeat. Life is an unending sequence of challenges from which no one emerges unscathed. Defeat is not something to fear, but surrender is something to reject. Never once did it ever occur to me to quit. I learned at university that failure was not an option. And I learned as well the true meaning of the words of President Truman when he said, "There are no great men. There are only ordinary men who rise to meet great challenges." And so, as I look out at this impressive graduating class today, I see hope for our future in this explosive and dangerous world that we read about every day and see signs of every night on television. A dangerous world. And I see, when I look at this graduating class, inspiration for all of our citizens, from Monterey to Montreal, from Moncton to Madagascar. The torch truly has been passed. You, the graduates, are our new generation of leaders, and I salute you and congratulate you on your great achievement. on this golden afternoon of an unforgettable day in lives filled with such promise and excitement. If ever you search for a lodestar to guide you through the gently unfolding decades of your lives, you may wish to consider a few lines from Mr. Justice Learned Hand, the greatest American jurist who was never, ever appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States. Many years ago, he was invited to welcome immigrants to America, Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, and Jews, mostly poor and unlettered people from Central and Eastern Europe and the Middle East. He defined for them that day on the Lower East Side of Manhattan at a citizenship ceremony the spirit of liberty that he hoped they would find in the life of their new country. I refer to it today because his words have universal reach. They apply to us all and to all of our countries. He said that the spirit of liberty is the spirit that is not too sure that it is right. The spirit of liberty seeks to understand the minds of other men and other women. The spirit of liberty weighs their interests alongside its own without bias. And the spirit of liberty knows that not even a sparrow falls to earth unheeded. And the spirit of liberty is the spirit of him who near 2,000 years ago taught mankind a lesson that it has never quite learned, but never quite forgotten, that there may be a kingdom where the least shall be heard and considered side by side with the greatest. If you, as graduates today, can incorporate into your lives some of the humility and the generosity and the wisdom contained in those words, it will be said of you one day that you have brought honor to your country, pride to your achievement, and glory to your family. No one can ask for more. Thank you, and may God bless you all.